Hi everybody, welcome to Live Blogger. I have combined all the videos in our photography website design series into this single long video so that it's easy for you to follow. Now in this video, we're going to basically create this one-page website using HTML, CSS and JavaScript from scratch. And we also have these gallery over here with the Lightbox. And we have the animation for all these elements. We also have the slider. So we're going to create all of this from scratch using HTML, CSS and JavaScript in this video. And in the end, I will also show you how to add this custom design to your Blogger homepage. And we'll also make this contact form work. And we'll also make this search form work over here. So we will do all of that in this video. Let's get started. Alright, so here we can see this is how this website looks, and we have this sidebar over here on the left side, and we have the logo, and we have these menu items with these hover effects, and we also have this social media icons over here. Now this sidebar over here is fixed to this position, so if you scroll down, the sidebar will stay there. And here we can see we have this header, and if you scroll up, we have this subtle animation for the header. And then we have this video over here, and then we have the about section, and we have this gradient background color over here, and then we have the our work section, and we have these photos over here, and then we have the testimonial section, and this is basically a slider, so we can go ahead and slide to the left and the right. And then we have this contact section, and then lastly we have the footer. And we can access all these sections from this menu items over here as well. So if I click on gallery, we go to this our work section. If you go to testimonials, we go to the testimonials section. So this is how this works. Now this is also responsive. So this is how it will look on smaller screens. We have this menu icon over here, and if you scroll down, we can see that all these sections are displayed according to the mobile screen. So this is basically how this website looks. Right here I have created this folder called photography website, and I just opened it with VS Code, and I have these two folders over here. So I have this folder called videos. In that we have this hero video, so we're going to use this in our design. And then we have this folder called images, and that we have all these images which we're going to use in our design. So the first thing we will do is we will create the necessary files. So let's create an HTML file. So I'll just create a new file over here called index.html. Let's create another file called style.css. And let's create one more file called main.js. And let's start with the index.html file. So in VS Code, you can just type exclamation and press tab, and you'll have this basic HTML5 code. And here for the title, let's change the title to the name of our website, which is Pixel Photography. And now let's link our CSS file over here. So I'll just tap link and press tab. And here in the href, let's type style.css. And here in the body, I'll just link the JavaScript file. So I'll just tap script:/src and press tab. And here let's tap main.js. Right now, let's go ahead and start with the markups. So the first thing we will do is we'll create this sidebar over here. So I'll just create everything inside a container division, and let's call it main container. And in that, let's create an aside tag for the sidebar. So let's type aside, and let's give it a class of sidebar. And in this, the first thing we need to do is add this logo. So let's create a division with the class of logo. And in that, let's create an img tag. And for the source, let's type images / and I have this image called logo.png. So let's select that image. And now let's open this in our browser and let's see how it looks. So I have this extension called Live Server installed in VS Code. So once you have this installed, you can just right click over here in the HTML file and click on Open with Live Server. And here we can see we have our logo displayed over here. Now the next things we need to add are these menu items. So let's go outside this division. And let's create a division with the class of menu items. And in this, let's add anchor tags for all these menu items. So when we click on any of these menu items, we'll be taken to that section. So we need to add anchor tags for these. So let's create an anchor tag, and for now I'll just add a hash over here for the href. Now in this anchor tag we need to have an icon, and then we need to have this text. So for the icon, let's create a span, and let's give it a class of icon. And in this we will add the icon, and after the span let's add this text of home. And here we have this home text displayed. Now let's also add the icon. So for the icon we will use a website called heroicons.com. Right, here I'm in heroicons.com, and let's search for home, and let's get this icon right here. So let's click on copy SVG, and let's paste that inside this span. And now we can see we have this icon, home icon, and then we have this text displayed after that. And then we need to add the next icon and text. So we have about. So I'll just go ahead and create another anchor tag, and let's create a span with the class of icon. And here let's type about, and let's search for the about icon. So I'll just type info. So I'll just add this icon right here. So let's click on copy SVG, and let's paste the icon over here inside this icon span. And we have the other icon as well. So now let's go ahead and add this icon, gallery. So let's create another anchor tag, and let's create a span with the class of icon, and let's search for the gallery icon. And for that I'll just type image, and I think we can add this same icon over here. So let's click on copy SVG, let's paste it inside this icon, and here outside this span let's type gallery. And let's create another anchor tag, and let's create a span with the class of icon. And the next one is testimonials. So for testimonials, I think we can use the chat icon. So let's use this icon right here. So let's click on copy SVG, and let's paste it over here. And here outside the span let's type testimonials. And then lastly we need to have one more icon and text, which is contact. So let's go back, and let's add another anchor tag, and let's create a span with the class of icon. And for this one we need to have this mail icon. So let's search for mail, and let's copy this icon, and let's paste it over here. And here let's type contact. And now we can see that we have all these icons and text displayed over here. And the next thing we need to do is add these social media icons. So further, let's go back, and let's go outside this menu items division, and let's create another division with the class of socials. And in this we will add the social media icons. So for each of the icons we need to add an anchor tag, because these are basically links. So let's go ahead and create an anchor tag, and here we can add the links of the social media pages. I'll just type hash for now. And here in this anchor tag we need to add the image. So let's type img and press tab for the img tag. And for the image we need to type images / and I have this image called Facebook logo.svg. So here we can see we have the Facebook logo, then we have LinkedIn and Twitter. So I'll just create another anchor tag, and let's type img, and let's type LinkedIn, and then we have one more. So let's type anchor tag and img, images, and Twitter. And with that we have completed adding all the elements to our web page. Now let's go ahead and style this using CSS. So let's go to our style.css file. Now the first thing we will do over here is that we will import the fonts. So we'll get the font links from Google Fonts. Alright, so here I'm in fonts.google.com, and we need to have two fonts in our website. We need to have this font called Roboto, and then we need to have this cursive font called Satisfy. So here we already have this Roboto font displayed. If you don't find it, you can just search it over here. And let's click on the font, and let's click on Get Font. And we need to have one more font, so let's search for the Satisfy font. And let's click on this font, and let's click on Get Font. And now we can see we have these two links, so let's click on Get Embed Code. Now here we have the option of adding this link to our HTML file, Or you can also add the import line to your CSS. So I'll just add this line of code. So let's copy this and let's add it to our CSS. Right now, let's go ahead and target the body, and we'll just remove the default margin, and we will add the color of all the text to white by default because we have this dark background color for our website. And let's go ahead and add the background color. So let's tap background, image, and here let's tap linear gradient, and I'll just tap 110 degrees. And for the first color, let's tap RGBA 7791, and here let's type 7%. And for the next color, let's tap RGBA 27, 24, 113, 1. And for this one, let's type 93%. So now if you go back, here we can see we have this background color for our website. Right now, the next thing we will do is we will select all the elements and we will add a line of CSS called box sizing border box. Now this will make sure that we have the correct width and height for all the elements. So it will include the padding, margin and border and all those things inside the height and width of the element. So it's always a good idea to add this line of code to your websites. Right now, the next thing we will do is we will target all the anchor tags, and let's go ahead and remove the underlines from the anchor tags. And we'll also change the color of all the anchor tags to white. So let's tap color white, and let's remove the underlines by typing text decoration, and let's set it to none. Now for the body, let's also add the font family. So let's tap font family, and let's set the default font family to Roboto and sans serif. So now we can see we have the Roboto font. Right now, let's go ahead and change the width of this logo. So let's type .logo img because we have this division with the class of logo, and in that we have this img tag. So let's set the width of the logo to 100 pixels, and now let's change the width of these icons. So it is inside this menu items division. So we have this pan with the class of icon. So let's type menu items icon, and let's set the width to 20 pixels. Right now the width has not changed, but it will in just a second. We need to add a display of flex for these anchor tags because we need to have the icon on the left side and the text on the right side. So let's go ahead and target the anchor tags. So let's tap menu items A, and let's set the display to flex, and let's add a gap of 12 pixels between the elements, and this is how it looks. Right now, let's go ahead and add some styles to the sidebar. So here we have this aside with the class of sidebar. So let's type sidebar, and let's set the position to fixed so that even if we scroll down, the sidebar will be fixed to a position. And let's set the top position to 0 and left position to 0. And let's set the background color to white. Let's set the width to 240 pixels. Right now we need to change the color of the anchor tags to black. So let's change this to black. And let's add a box shadow over here. So let's type box shadow. And let's set the values to 4 pixels, 0, 70 pixels, negative 20 pixels, RGBA 0, 0, 0 and 0.1. So here we can see this is the sidebar. Right now let's go ahead and style this logo. So we need to bring this logo to the center. So for that, let's go ahead and target the logo division. So let's tap logo, and let's set text align to center. And now we need to have some padding for this sidebar. So here we can see we have some padding. So let's go ahead and add a padding over here. So let's tap padding, and let's set the value to 24 pixels. And now let's go ahead and style these menu items. We need to add some gap between these menu items. So let's target the menu items division. So here I'll just tap menu items, and let's set the display to flex, and let's set the flex direction to column, and let's add a gap of 16 pixels between the elements. And now we can see we have this gap. And let's also add the hover effect. So we need to add the hover effect for the anchor tag. So let's tap menu items, hover. And when you hover over this, we need to move it to the right side. And we also want to increase it a little bit. So let's tap transform, translate X, 10 pixels, and scale of 1.04. Now since we need to have a smooth transition, let's also add a transition over here, and let's set the value to all 300 milliseconds ease. And now we can see we have this hover effect. Right now let's style these social media icons. So for that we have this division with the class of socials. So here we have this division. So let's tap socials and let's set the display to flex, and let's add a gap of 24 pixels. And let's also change the width of the images. So let's tap social, img, and let's set the width to 36 pixels. And we also need to have hover effect for these icons. So here let's tap transition of all 300 milliseconds ease, and here let's tap socials, img hover, and let's tap transform, scale, and let's increase the scale to 1.2. And now we can see we have this hover effect. Now we also need to have this border at the top of this social media icons. So for that, here for the socials division, let's add a padding top of 40 pixels, and let's add a border top of 1 pixel solid db. Now the next thing we need to do is we need to increase the height of this sidebar to the full height of the screen. So let's go to the sidebar, and here let's add a height of 100 viewport height. And now we need to position all these elements correctly. So we need to have this logo at the top and these menu items at the center, and then the social media icons at the bottom. So for that, let's set the display to flex direction to column. And here we can add a property called justify content space between. And now we can see that all these elements are positioned correctly. Let's also bring these social media icons to the center. So here, let's type justify content center. And now it is in the center. So with that, we have completed designing the sidebar of our website. Right here, I'm in my source code, and let's go to the HTML file and let's start adding the markup. So this is where the sidebar ends. So here we can see we have this aside tag with this class of sidebar. And let's go outside this aside, and I'll just add a comment over here. So I'll just tap end of sidebar. And for all the other content of our website, let's create another division, and let's give it a class of main content. Now in this main content, the first thing we need to add is the header. So we have this header over here. So let's create a header tag. And in this we need to add an h1, and let's add pixel photography over here. Now if you take a look at this header, we can see that pixel is displayed in a different style. So let's go ahead and add a different class for this pixel word. So let's add this inside a span, and let's give it a class of cursive. And we'll style it in CSS. So I'll just go ahead and cut the ending tag from here and paste it after pixel. And now we will be able to style this pixel word differently in our CSS using this class. Now in this header, we also need to add the menu icon. So if we take a look at the mobile version, this is how the menu icon looks. But we will design that later. So let's go ahead and continue with the next section, which is the hero section. So let's go outside the header. And let's create a division with an ID of hero. And here we need to add a video. So let's create a video tag over here. And for the source, let's tap videos. And we have a video called herovideo.mp4. And now if you go back to our website, here we can see we have the thumbnail of the video displayed. And to play the video, we have to add some attributes called autoplay. And we need to mute the audio. So let's tap muted. And we need to loop the video once it ends. So now we can see that the video starts playing. But for now, I'll just go ahead and remove this autoplay. We'll add it later. Right now, let's go ahead and create the about section. So let's create a section, and let's give it an ID of about. And in this about section, we need to add the content. So here we can see we have this content, and all the content is inside a fixed width. So even if we zoom out, we can see that it has this fixed width. So for that, we need to create a container division, and let's give it a class of content container. And in this, we need to add an h2 for the heading. So let's type about, and after the heading, let's add 2 paragraphs over here. So I'll just copy this text, and let's create a paragraph, and let's add the text over here. Let's create one more paragraph, and let's copy this text, and let's paste it over here. And with that, we have completed adding our HTML. So I'll just add a comment over here, end of about section. And let's go ahead and start styling this. So let's go to the style.css file. The first thing we need to do is we need to bring all this main content to the right a little bit based on the width of this element. So for the sidebar, let's see what is the width of the sidebar. So here we can see that the sidebar has a width of 240 pixels. So let's go ahead and type main content, which is the class that we gave for this division. So here we have this main content, and let's go ahead and add a margin left of 240 pixels. And now we can see that we have the sidebar on the left side and all the content on the right side. Right now, let's start styling this header. So let's type header, and for the header, let's add a background color of black, and let's set the position to fixed, so that even if we scroll down, the header should be fixed at the top. And now we can see that the width of the header has changed. So we need to set the right to 0 and the left to 240 pixels. And now we can see it has the correct width. And let's also add a z index for the header, because it should be above all the other content. So let's add a z index of 300. And let's tap text align center. And let's also add a padding of 20 pixels top and bottom, and 0 for left and right. Right now, let's go ahead and style this pixel word. So for that, we have this span with the class of cursive. So here, let's type dot cursive, and let's set the font family to satisfy and cursive, and let's set the color of the text to FFD60A, and let's set the font size to 60 pixels. And this is how it looks. Now for the h1, let's also remove the margin. So let's type main content header h1, and let's type margin 0, and let's also set the font size to 40 pixels. And now when we scroll down, we can see that it changes the height. So when we scroll down, we'll just remove the padding. So let's go back. And when we scroll down, we will add a class called smaller to the header. So let's type header dot smaller, and I'll just set the padding to 0. And here let's also add a smooth transition. So I'll just type transition of all 500 milliseconds is. Now when we scroll down, we need to add this smaller class to this header. So let's go to the JavaScript, and here first of all, let's target the header. So I'll just type const header equals document dot query selector header. And let's add an event listener to the window. So let's type window.add event listener, and let's listen for the scroll event. So whenever the user scrolls, this event will be fired. And let's create an arrow function over here. And here let's add an if condition, and let's type if window dot scroll y is greater than or equal to 50. So if the user scrolls more than 50 pixels, then the header should have a class of smaller. And let's add an else over here, and here I'll just remove the smaller class. So let's type header.classlist.remove smaller. Right now, let's go back, and now if we scroll down, we can see that we have the smaller class added to the header, and if we scroll up, it is removed. So that's it with the header. Right now, let's go ahead and style this hero section. So here let's type #hero, because we have an ID of hero for the hero section. And in that we have the video. So first of all, let's set the padding top of the hero section to 120 pixels, because we have this header at the top in a fixed position. And now let's go ahead and add some styles to the video. So let's type #hero video, and for the video I'll just set the width to 100% and the height to, let's try 440 pixels, and object fit to cover. And now we can see it has the correct width and height for the video. Right, now let's go ahead and add the styles for this heading. So for each of the sections we have an h2 for the heading. So let's type section h2, and for the h2 we need to set the font family to satisfy, cursive, and let's set the font size to 60 pixels, and let's tap margin top, and I'll just set it to 0. Now for all the content we need to have a max width. So for that, here we can see that we have added this class of content container. So I'll just go ahead and add some styles to that. So I'll just tap content container, and let's set the max width to 800 pixels. Let's set the margin inline, which is margin left and right, to auto so that it is in the center. And let's also add a padding of 0.32 pixels. And this is how it looks. Now for each of the sections we will add some padding to the top and the bottom. So let's tap section, and let's add a padding of 80 pixels top and bottom, and 0 for left and right. And now for the paragraph of the sections, let's add some line height. So let's tap section P, line height of 1.8, and let's also set the font size to 18 pixels. Right, now for the header we need to add this underline. Now we will do that using the after selector. So here let's tap section h2 : after, and let's set the content to blank. Now after selectors are used to add some extra info to the element. So if I just have 1, 2, 3, we can see that 1, 2, 3 is displayed after the content. So let's remove this, and we need to add a line. Now this after selector should be relative to this h2. So here we need to type position relative, and here for the after selector we need to tap position absolute, and let's set the background color to FFD60A, and let's set the height to 3 pixels. Let's set the width to 100 pixels, and let's set the left value to 0 and the bottom value to -10 pixels. And here we have the underline. So that's basically it with the about section. And now we can go ahead and add this autoplay over here for the video. So here let's tap autoplay, and now we can see that the hero section is working alright. We also have the about section. Right, here I'm in my source code, and let's go outside the about section. So this is where the about section ends, and here let's create our next section, which is this our work section, and I will just give it an ID of gallery. So let's create a section with an ID of gallery. Now this also should be inside a max width. So we need to add this division called content container, because for that we have given a max width in the CSS. So if we just search for content container, here we can see that we have set a max width of 800 pixels. So let's go back, and here let's add a division with the class of content container. Now in this let's create an h2, and let's type our work for the heading. And after that we need to have the gallery. So let's create a division with the class of gallery, and in this we will add all the images. So let's create an img tag, and in the source let's type images /, and we have these images called work1, work2, work3, and work4. So let's select work1, and I'll just duplicate this 3 more times, and here let's type work2, 3, and 4. So that's it with the HTML of the gallery section. So let's go ahead and create a comment. I'll just type end of gallery section, and let's also write the HTML for the contact section. So here we have the contact section over here. Now we have this testimonial section over here, but we will design it in the next video, because we need to add a library for creating this slider effect. So we'll create that in the next video. So here for the contact section, let's create a section with an ID of contact, and here also let's create a division with the class of content container, and let's create an h2, and let's type contact. Now in this contact section we need to have the contact form. So let's create a form element, and inside this let's create the input fields. If you go back here, we can see that we have the label and the input field, and then we have the label and the input field. So let's create a group for each of the labels and input fields. So let's create a division with the class of group, and let's create a label, and this will be a label for name. So let's type name over here, and here let's type name. And now let's create an input field with the type of text, and let's give it an ID of name. And now we can see that we have this input field and this label. Right, let's go ahead and copy this group and paste it here one more time, and the second one is for email. So let's select all of these, and let's type email over here. You can press Command D or Control D to select all these instances. Right, now let's copy this once more, and here we need to change this to a text area because this is gonna be multi-lines. So here for the name, let's change this to message. Here also let's change this to message, and we also need to change the ID to message. And let's just remove the columns from here. And then lastly, let's go ahead and create a button, and here let's type send, and let's set the type of the button to submit. And with that, we have written the HTML for the contact section. So I'll just create a comment, and let's type end of contact section. Right, now let's go ahead and start styling this. So this is how our page looks right now. So let's go to a style.css file, and let's create a comment. I'll just type gallery. The first thing we will do is we'll select the gallery division. Here we can see we have this division with the class of gallery, and we need to display two of these images in a row. So let's type display of grid, and grid template columns to 1fr, which means 2 columns of the same width. And let's also set a gap of 8 pixels, and we also need to change the width of the images. So let's type gallery img, and let's set the width to 100%. And now we can see that the gallery looks alright. And when we are on smaller screens, we need to display one image in a row. So let's go ahead and add a media query over here. So I'll just type at media max width of 800 pixels. So whenever the screen width is less than 800 pixels, let's select the gallery division, and let's set the grid template columns to just 1fr, which means 1 column. So now we can see we have just 1 column, and with that we have styled our gallery section. Now let's go ahead and style the contact section. So let's create a comment. I'll just type contact. Now we have the group division inside contact form. So let's type form group, and let's set the display to flex, and flex direction to column, and let's add a gap of 8 pixels. So now we can see that the label is at the top and the input field is at the bottom. Right, now let's select these input fields and this text area. So let's type form input and form text area, and let's set the padding to 8 pixels top and bottom, and 16 pixels left and right. And let's set the font size to 16 pixels. Let's set the border to none, and let's add a margin bottom of 20 pixels. And this is how this contact form looks. Now we want to display this resize option over here. So let's type form text area, and let's type resize none. And now we don't have the option of resizing. Right, now let's select this button. So let's type form button, and let's set the padding to 8 pixels top and bottom, 16 pixels left and right. Let's set the border to none, and let's set the font size to 18 pixels, font weight to bold, and let's set the background color to light gray, and let's set the cursor to pointer, and let's also add a minimum width. So let's type min width, and let's set it to 200 pixels. And with that, we have styled our contact section. Now for the slider, we're going to use a library called Swiper.js. So let's get the CDN of Swiper.js. So you can just Google for Swiper.js, and you'll find this website called swiperjs.com. So let's go to the website, and let's click on get started. And here are the steps for installation. Let's scroll down and let's search for CDN, and this is the link for the CDN. So let's copy these lines of code from here, and let's go back and let's go to the HTML file, and let's paste it over here. Right now, let's go ahead and create the HTML for the slider. So let's go after the gallery section. So here, let's create a section and let's give it an ID of testimonials. And let's add this inside a division with a class of content container. And for the heading, let's go ahead and type what our clients say. And this is how it looks. Now if we go back to the original design, here we can see that this testimonial section is inside a white background. So for all the other sections, we have this dark background and this white text. But for this section, we need to have black text and white background. So for that, let's go back, and here for the section, let's also add a class called light, and we will style this separately in the CSS. Now for adding a slider using Swiper.js, we need to follow some HTML structure. So the first thing we need to do is we need to create a main container division. So let's give it a class of Swiper. Now in this division, we need to create another wrapper division. So let's give it a class of Swiper wrapper. Now in this, we need to create the slides. So for the slides, let's give it a class of Swiper slide. Now in this Swiper slide, we need to create this structure. So let's add this inside a division with a class of testimonial. So let's tap testimonial over here. Now in the testimonial, the first thing we need to have is the paragraph. So I'll just go ahead and copy this text from here, and I'll just paste it over here inside the paragraph. And now the next thing we need to have is the client info. So here we have the name and the image. So let's create a division with the class of client info. And first of all, let's create an img tag, and for the source, let's type images / and we have client1.jpg. And the next thing is the name. So let's create a paragraph with the class of client name. And here let's add the name. So I'll just add a name over here. And for the image, let's also give it a class so that we can style it in CSS. And let's give it a class of client photo. Right now, let's go ahead and copy and paste this Swiper slide division. And let's paste it 2 more times because we have 3 testimonials. So let's get the text of the second testimonial. And here for the image, let's type client2.jpg. And for the name, let's get the name. So the second name is Sarah Smith. So let's add that over here. And let's go ahead and add the third testimonial. And for the image, let's type client3.jpg. And for the name, we have Michael Johnson. And here we can see that we also have this pagination displayed over here. So let's add that over here. So we need to go outside this Swiper slide and then outside this division with the class of Swiper wrapper. And here we need to create another division, and we need to give it a class of Swiper pagination. You can give any class you want over here, but you need to add the same class in the JavaScript. And we can simply leave it blank. And let's go ahead and add a comment over here. Let's tap end of testimonials section. And now if we go back to our website, this is how this page looks right now. So let's go ahead and add some CSS. So here let's create a comment. I'll just tap testimonials. And first of all, let's select the image. So let's tap testimonial, client photo. And let's set the width to 80 pixels and the height to 80 pixels as well. And let's set the object fit to cover so that it has the correct proportions. And let's set the border radius to 50% so that it has a round shape. And here we can see we have this image. Now we want to have this image on the left side and this text on the right side. So let's target the container division. So let's tap testimonial, and we have this container division with a class of client info. So let's tap client info, and let's set the display to flex so that the items are one next to the other, and let's add a gap of 30 pixels. And this is how it looks. Now let's target the client name. So we have this paragraph with the class of client name. So let's type testimonial, client name, and let's set the font weight to bold and font size to 20 pixels. Now let's also add some padding top and bottom for the swiper wrapper, which is the main wrapper division for the slider. So I'll just add it over here. So I'll just type swiper wrapper, and let's type padding block, which is padding top and bottom to 30 pixels. Now the next thing we will do is we need to have this background color set as white for this section and the text color set as black. So let's go back, and if you go to the HTML file, here we can see that we have added a class called light for this section. So here let's type section dot light. So whenever we have a section with a class of light, we want to set the background color to white and the color of the text to black. And now we can see this is how it looks. Now we need to change the color of this underline for this heading as well. So let's go back. If you go to this CSS for the H2, here we can see that for the H2 after element we have this background color set to this yellow color. So we need to set the color to a different color. So let's scroll down, and here let's type section dot light. So when we have the light class, we'll type H2 colon after, and let's set the background color to, let's try red, and this is how it looks. Right now let's go ahead and add the functionality of this slider. So let's go back and let's go to the HTML file, and if you scroll down, here we can see that we have added the link and the script of the Swiper.js library. Now let's add the JavaScript of the Swiper.js right here. So I'll just create a script tag for that. Now what we need to do is we need to create a constant, and let's name it swiper, and it should be equal to a new swiper. And here we need to add the options. So the first thing is the class name. So if you scroll up, here we can see for the slider we have given it a class name of swiper. So we need to select that over here. So let's type dot swiper, and then we need to add some options. So let's create an object, and the first thing we will do is add an autoplay, and let's set the delay of 5000 milliseconds, which is 5 seconds. So every 5 seconds the testimonials slide will change. And let's also add the pagination. So let's type pagination, and here for the element, so let's type L, and we need to set it to the class that we created. So here we can see we have a class of swiper pagination. So let's add that over here, dot swiper pagination, and let's add one more option called dynamic bullets, and let's set it to true. And now if we go back, here we can see we have this slider and we have these bullets over here, and the functionality is working all right. So with that we have completed creating the slider for our website. Now let's go ahead and create the footer. So here after the contact section, let's create a footer element, and let's create a paragraph, and here we'll just add some text. So I'll just copy this text from here, and let's paste it over here. And now let's add some basic styles for this. So let's go to the style.css file, and here let's type footer, and let's type footer, and let's set the background color to black. Let's set the color of the text to white. Let's add a padding of 8 pixels, 32 pixels, and let's set the text align to center. And this is the footer. So with that we have completed designing the footer and the testimonial section. Now in this video we will add Lightbox to these images. So here we can see we have these images in the gallery, and if I click on the image, we have this Lightbox open, and we can close it by clicking on this close icon. And if I click on any other image, we have that image displayed in full screen. And we also have the next and the previous buttons over here. So we can go to the next and the previous images by clicking on these buttons. So we're going to create this from scratch using HTML, CSS and JavaScript. So let's get started. Alright, this is our source code, and if we go to the HTML file, here we have the gallery. So here we can see in the gallery we have these 4 images, and these are the images. So now in these images, we need to add the Lightbox pop-up. So if you click on this image, we can see that we also have this caption displayed over here. Now we're going to add this caption inside a data attribute. So I'll just copy this caption from here. And let's go back over here to the HTML, and here let's add a data attribute. So here inside the image, we can just type data hyphen and the name of the attribute. So I'll just call it caption. And let's set it equal to this text. And let's do the same for all the other images. So I'll just copy this data attribute, and I'll just paste it over here for the second image. And let's change this caption to 2. And let's paste it over here. And let's change this to 3. And let's paste it over here. And let's change this to 4. And with that, we have added the caption for all these images. Now we can use these values inside our Lightbox using JavaScript. Alright, now let's go ahead and write the HTML for the Lightbox. So here, let's go outside this division. And let's create a comment and let's call it Lightbox. And for the Lightbox, let's create a division with the class of Lightbox. And in this, first of all, let's create this close icon over here. So let's create a division with the class of close icon. And let's get the icon from heroicons.com. Alright, here I'm in heroicons.com, and let's search for close. And let's copy this SVG from here. And let's paste it inside this division. Alright, now let's create another division over here, and let's give it a class of image container. And in this, we'll create the img tag. And here we need to add the link of the image. So for now, let's add the link of the first image. So I just type images/work1.jpg. And after the image, let's create a division with the class of caption. And here we will add the caption. I'll just type test for now. Alright, now the next thing we need to do is we need to create the next and the previous buttons. So here we can see we have this previous and next buttons over here. So let's create a division with the class of prev_btn. And let's add the icon over here. So I'll just type left. And let's copy this icon. So let's click on copy SVG and let's paste it over here. And let's create another division with the class of next_btn. And let's search for right. Let's copy this icon right here and let's paste it over here. Alright, with that, we have completed writing the HTML for the Lightbox. Now let's go ahead and style this. So if you go back to our page, if you scroll down, here we can see we have the Lightbox displayed. Now let's style this. So let's create a comment. I'll just type Lightbox. Now the first thing we will do is we will target the image, and let's set the height of the image to 90 viewport height. So let's type Lightbox. And in that we have the image container, and in that we have the img tag. So let's set the height to 90 viewport height, and let's tap object fit to cover so that it has the correct proportions. And now we need to set the position of this Lightbox to fixed. So let's tap Lightbox and let's set the position to fixed. And we need to set the top, right, bottom and left positions to 0 so that it spans the entire screen. Now we have a shortcut called inset for that. So we can just tap inset 0 and it will set the left, right, top and bottom positions to 0. And let's add a background color of RGBA 000, and for the opacity let's tap 0.93. And let's set the Z index to 400 so that it is above all the other elements. And this is our Lightbox. Let's reduce the width of these icons. So let's target the close icon. So I just type Lightbox, and we have the icon inside this division with the class of close icon. So let's tap close icon, and let's set the position to fixed. Let's set the top position to 40 pixels, and let's set the right position to 40 pixels, and let's set the width to 30 pixels, and let's set the cursor to pointer. And here we have the close icon. Right now let's style the left and the previous icons. So let's tap Lightbox, prev btn, and Lightbox next btn, and let's set the position to fixed. Let's set the width to 30 pixels, and let's set the top position to 50%. And now it starts from the 50% mark, so we need to also tap transform translate y negative 50%, and let's set the cursor to pointer. And now we need to position the previous button on the left and the next button on the right. So let's type Lightbox prev btn, and we'll set the left position to 40 pixels. And let's type Lightbox next btn, and let's set the right position to 40 pixels. And now we have the previous and the next buttons. Now let's bring this image to the center. And for that, we'll just go ahead and target the container division, which is Lightbox. And we'll set the display to grid, place items to the center. And now we can see we have the image at the center. And we'll also style this caption. So let's type Lightbox caption, and let's set the position to absolute. And we'll position this relative to this image container that we have over here. So let's target the image container. So here I'll just type Lightbox image container, and let's set the position to relative. And now this will be relative to the image container. So for the caption, let's set the bottom position to 0. Let's add a padding of 12 pixels top and bottom, 16 pixels left and right. Let's set the text align to center, and color of the text to white, and background color to RGBA 000 and 0.9 for the opacity. Let's set the width of the caption to 300 pixels, and let's bring it to the center. So let's type left 50% and transform translate x negative 50% to bring it to the exact center. And here we have the caption. So with that, we have styled our Lightbox. Now let's go ahead and add the functionality. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a class called active when we want to display this Lightbox. So here by default, we'll set the opacity of the Lightbox to 0, and also the pointer events to none, so that we are not able to click on it. And when we add the active class, so let's type Lightbox dot active, then we'll just set the opacity back to 1 and pointer events to auto. And we'll also add a smooth transition, so I'll just type transition of all 300 milliseconds is. So now if we go back to our website, here we can see that the Lightbox is not being displayed. But if we go to the HTML and for the Lightbox, if we add the class active, now we have the Lightbox displayed. So let's remove it for now, and let's display the Lightbox when we click on one of these images. So first of all, let's set the cursor to pointer for these images so that the user knows that it is clickable. So let's go to the style.css file, and let's go to the gallery image, and I'll just type cursor pointer, and now we have the cursor set to pointer. So let's go ahead and select all these images which are inside the gallery, and let's store them inside a constant in the JavaScript. So let's type const, and I'll just call it images equals document.querySelector gallery img, and here we need to change this to query selector all because we are selecting multiple elements. Now all these images will be stored inside this images constant. Right, now let's target the Lightbox. So let's type Lightbox equals document.querySelector Lightbox. Right, now let's target the next and the previous button. So let's type const next btn equals document.querySelector, and we have division with the class of prev btn and next btn. So let's type next, or let's type Lightbox next btn, and let's type const prev btn equals document.querySelector Lightbox prev btn. Let's also target the close button. So let's type const close btn equals document.querySelector, and inside the Lightbox we have a division with the class of close icon. Now we also need to change the image and the caption of the Lightbox. So inside the Lightbox we have this img tag. So let's select that. I'll just type const Lightbox image equals document.querySelector, Lightbox img. Now let's select the Lightbox caption. So let's type const Lightbox caption equals document.querySelector Lightbox, and let's see what's the caption class. So we have this class of caption. So let's type dot caption. Right now let's go ahead and add event listeners for all these images. So let's tap images and we'll use a for each loop. So let's type dot for each. Now for each of the image, I'll just call it image, and let's create an arrow function, and let's type image dot add event listener, and we'll listen for the click event. And when someone clicks on the image, we want to display the lightbox. So what we will do is we'll create a function for that, and I'll just call the function display lightbox. Now here we need to pass the index of the image so that we can display the correct image in the lightbox. But first of all, let's create this display lightbox function. And here what we need to do is we need to set the active class to the lightbox. So let's type lightbox dot class list dot add active. So now if we go back and if I click on any of these images, we have the lightbox displayed. Right now we have the same image displayed. And now let's go ahead and add the functionality of the close icon. So let's type close button dot add event listener, and let's listen for the click event. And when someone clicks on the close button, we want to remove the active class from the lightbox. So let's type lightbox dot class list dot remove active. And now we can see that the close icon is working alright. Now let's go ahead and display the correct image. So here let's go ahead and create a variable called current index, and by default let's set it to 0. Now here in this function we will pass the index of the image that we want to display. So I'll just call it index, and here let's pass the index. So we will get the index inside a for each loop in the second argument. So here let's add a second argument, and I'll just call it index, and let's pass the index over here. So what this will do is for the first image it will pass the index 0, and 1 for the second image, and so on. So here let's go ahead and type lightbox image dot src equals images, which we are getting over here. So we are getting all the images inside this images constant, and here we will select the image which is of this index right here. So let's add it inside these square brackets, and then we need to type dot src. So it will get the src or the source of this image and store it inside this lightbox image. And let's do the same for the lightbox caption. So let's type lightbox caption dot text content equals images index dot. Now here we need to get the data attribute, and it is called data hyphen caption. So let's type get attribute data hyphen caption, and now let's set the current index to the index that we get over here. So let's type current index equals index. This will be useful for the next and the previous buttons because we get the index over here globally. So now let's go ahead and click on this image right here, and we have the correct image displayed over here. Let's click on this image, and everything is working alright. Right now let's write the functionality of the next and the previous buttons. So let's type next btn dot add event listener, and let's listen for the click event. And here what we need to do is we need to set the current index to the current index plus 1 because we need to get the next image. And here we will use the modulo operator, and let's type images dot length. So what this will do is right now if the image index or the current index is 0, when we click on the next button it will change to 1, and when we click on the next button once again it will change to 2, and then it will change to 3. But when we click on the next button again it will change back to 0 because we just have 4 images in our gallery. So that's because we use this modulo operator with the image length. So the length will be set to 4. So in this way, after the last image, the first image will be shown. And here let's go ahead and display the lightbox. So let's type display lightbox current index So this will go ahead and call this function once again with the updated current index. Now let's write the functionality of the previous button. So let's copy this and let's paste it down here, and let's change this to prev btn, and here we need to change this to current index -1. Now here the problem is that the current index can be negative, so that can cause problems with this modulo operator. So let's go ahead and also add images dot length over here. So this will make sure that it has the positive value always. Right now, let's go ahead and save this, and let's go back to our website. Let's click on this image and let's click on the next image, and it is working all right. After the last image, we go back to the first image. Let's click on the previous image, and it is also working all right. So with that, we have completed adding the Lightbox to our website using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Right, this is the responsive version of our website, and here we can see we don't have the sidebar displayed on smaller screens, and we have this menu icon displayed over here. And if I click on that, we have these menus displayed over here, and we can click on any of these menus and we'll be taken to that section. So let's go ahead and start with this menu icon. Now before that, let's go ahead and hide this in smaller screens. So let's go to the CSS file and let's go ahead and create a media query. So I'll just type mobile version, and let's type at media, and let's set the max width to 900 pixels. And here I'll just go ahead and type dot sidebar, because we have this aside with a class of sidebar. So let's type sidebar, display of none. And now we can see we don't have the sidebar displayed on smaller screens. Now when we are on smaller screens, we also want to remove this margin left that we have over here for the main content. So if we go to the main content in our CSS, here we can see for the main content we have set the margin left to 240 pixels. So let's go ahead and remove that. I'll just copy this and I'll just paste it down here, and let's set the margin left to 0. And then we have the header, and this also should start from the left side. So if we go back over here to the CSS of the header, here we can see for the header we have set a left of 240 pixels because of the sidebar. So let's remove the left value and let's set it to 0. So I'll just type header left 0. Let's also decrease the font size of these text. So let's go ahead and target the H1 inside the header. So just search for header H1. And this is the selector. So let's copy this and let's paste it over here. And here let's set the font size to 26 pixels or 28 pixels. And let's also decrease the font size of this text pixel. So for the pixel, we have a class of cursive. So here we can see we have this span with a class of cursive. So let's target that. Let's type cursive. And let's set the font size of cursive to 40 pixels, and that looks all right. Now we'll go ahead and set the text align to left for this heading, because on the right side we need to have the menu icon. So here let's type text align left, and let's set the padding left and padding right to 30. So let's type padding inline and let's set it to 30 pixels, and that's it with our H1. Now let's go ahead and add the menu icon. So let's go to the HTML file, and here after the H1 inside the header we will add the menu icon. So here we can see we have the header and here we have the H1. So let's go outside the H1 and let's create a division with the class of menu icon, and here we will add the icon. So let's get the icon from heroicons.com. So here I'm in heroicons.com, and let's search for menu. And let's copy this and let's paste it over here. And here we have the menu icon. So let's go ahead and decrease the size and let's bring it over here. Let's add the styles over here itself in the desktop version, and we will hide it and we'll display it in the mobile version. So here let's type menu icon SVG, and let's set the width of the SVG to 30 pixels. We need to bring this to the right side. So here let's go to the header and let's set the display to flex, and align items to the center and justify content to space between. So now we can see everything is positioned correctly. And let's go ahead and hide it in desktop version. So here let's type hidden items, and here let's type menu icon, and let's set the display to none. So it won't be displayed in desktop version, but here in the mobile version, let's type menu icon, and let's set the display to block. Now let's scroll down and let's see whether everything looks alright. Now when we scroll down, we can see that the padding is set to 0 for left and right. So let's fix that. Now when we scroll down, we are adding a class called smaller to the header. So here if we just search for smaller, here we can see for the header we are setting a class of smaller when we scroll down. So let's copy this and let's scroll down, and here let's set the padding to padding inline 30 pixels. Alright, let's see whether everything else is looking alright. And everything is looking fine. Let's click on these images, and we have the Lightbox displayed, but the close icon is not being displayed. So let's fix that. So let's search for close icon, and here we have the Lightbox close icon selector. So I'll just copy this and I'll just paste it down here, and let's type z index, and let's set it to, let's try 500. Now we can see that the close icon is being displayed. Now these icons are displayed on top of the image. So if you have white color over here in this part of the image, then the icon will not be displayed. So let's also add a background color over here. So let's type background, and let's set it to RGBA 0, 0, 0 and 0.3 for the opacity. And now we can see that it doesn't have the correct height, so we have to set it to display of flex. Now we can see everything looks alright. So let's do the same for these two icons as well. So let's type Lightbox, and we have a class of prev btn and Lightbox and next btn, and now we can see everything looks alright. And when we click on these icons, everything is being displayed correctly. Alright, let's close this. And now the last thing we need to do is we need to add the menus when we click on this menu icon. So here for the menu icon, I'll also set the cursor to pointer. Right, now let's create the menu icon. So when we click on this, we need to display this pop-up over here. So for that, let's go to the HTML file and let's add that over here. So let's create a division with the class of mobile menu container. Now we need to have the same menus that we have for the desktop version. So I'll just copy this menu items division from here. And let's paste it inside this division. Right, now let's style this. So let's type mobile menu container menu items, and let's set the background color to white, and let's set the width to 200 pixels, and let's add a padding of 32 pixels. Let's set the margin left to 100% minus the width of this element so that it's on the right side. So let's type calc 100% minus 200 pixels, and now it is on the right side. Oh, let's go ahead and add some gap on the right side. So let's type 230 pixels over here. Now these menu items are on the top, so we need to set the position of these menu items to fixed on smaller screens. So here let's type menu items, and let's set the position to fixed. Right, now let's go ahead and add some padding top, and let's set it to 120 pixels, and let's also add some box shadow. Let's also set a higher z index. So let's tap z index over here, and let's set it to 300, and let's add a box shadow, and let's set the values to 0, 3 pixels, 40 pixels, negative 8 pixels, RGBA 0, 0, 0 and 0.2. Right, now we need to hide this in bigger screens. So here let's type mobile menu container display of none, and in smaller screens, when we click on this icon, we need to display the mobile menu container. So we will add a class called active to that. So here let's type mobile menu container dot active, and when we have the active class, we'll just set the display to block. Right, now let's write the JavaScript to add and remove the active class when we click on this menu icon. But before that, let's go ahead and link the menu items to the sections. So for now, I'll just go ahead and add the active class over here. And when we click on the gallery, we need to go to the gallery section. So here in these href attributes, we need to add the ID. So this is for about. So if you scroll down and if you go to the about section, here we can see for the about section, we have this ID of about. So what we can do is we can go ahead and type hash about over here. And now if you click on this about menu, we will go to the about section. And let's also smoothly go to that section. So here in the style.css file, let's go to the HTML and let's type scroll behavior and let's set it to smooth. And now if you click on the about menu, we smoothly go to the about section and let's add the link of all the other sections over here. So this is for about and this one is for gallery. So for the gallery, we have an ID of gallery. So let's type hash gallery. And then we have testimonials. So let's type hash testimonials. And then we have contact. So let's add that over here. And I'll just quickly do that for the desktop version as well. So here let's type about. And here we have gallery. And then we have testimonials. And then lastly, we have contact. So now let's click on each of these menu items and everything is working all right. So now let's go ahead and add the functionality of displaying and hiding this menu container when we click on this menu icon. So for that, we need to reference this mobile menu container over here because we need to add and remove the active class. And then we need to reference the menu icon division, which is inside the header. So it is right here with the class of menu icon. So let's go to the main.js file and let's create a comment. I'll just type mobile menu. So let's create a constant with the class of menu icon equals document.querySelector. And let's type menu icon. Right now, let's reference the mobile menu container. So let's type const mobile menu container equals document.querySelector. And we have a class called mobile menu container. And now let's add an event listener to this menu icon. So let's type menu icon dot add event listener. And let's listen for the click event. And when we click on the menu icon, we need to add and remove the active class from the mobile menu container. So let's type mobile menu container dot class list dot toggle active. So now if you click on this menu icon, we have the mobile menu container displayed. And if I click on it again, it disappears. Right now, when we click on any of these menu items, we want it to disappear. So for that, let's select all these anchor tags. So I'll just call it all menu items. And let's type equals document.querySelector all because we have multiple elements. And let's type mobile menu container A. So this will select all the anchor tags and store it inside all menu items. And let's loop through all the menu items. So let's type all menu items dot for each. And I'll just call each of these menu items A. And let's add event listeners to all of them. So let's type a dot add event listener. And let's listen for the click event. And we need to just remove the active class from mobile menu container. So let's type mobile menu container dot class list dot remove active. And now if we click on any of these menu items, we can see that the class is removed. So with that, we have made our website responsive. Right, here's our source code. And before adding the animations, let's go ahead and add a search box over here. So let's go to the aside. And here in the aside, we have this logo. And after the logo, let's add a division with the class of search box. And in this, let's create an input field. And here, let's add a placeholder. And let's type search here. And let's add this inside a form. Now we are not going to add the functionality of this search box over here. We will add it when we add this design to a Blogger or a WordPress website. So we will add the functionality of that search box into our design later. Or let's go ahead and add this division inside this form. Right now here inside this search box, we will also add the search icon. So let's create a division with the class of search icon. And here let's add the icon. So let's get the icon from heroicons.com. Right here I'm in heroicons.com and let's search for search. And let's copy this SVG from here and let's paste it over here. Right, that's our search box. So if we go to our design, this is how the search box looks. And let's go ahead and style this using CSS. So let's go to the CSS file. And here let's create a comment. I'll just type search box. And let's type search box. So we have this division with the class of search box. And in that we have the input field with the type of text. And for this, let's go ahead and add a border of 1 pixel solid DDD. And here we have the search box. Now we need to display the icon over here on the right side. So for the icon, we have this division with the class of search icon. So let's type search box, search icon. And let's set the width to 20 pixels. And let's set the color to black. And here we have the icon. Now we need to bring this icon to the right side over here. So for that, let's go ahead and select the search box and let's set the position to relative. And here for the search icon, we will set the position to absolute. Now this search icon will be positioned relative to the search box. And here, let's set the right value to 12 pixels. And let's set the top value to 9 pixels. And here we have the search icon. Now when we add some text, it goes behind the icon. So let's add a padding right for this input field. So let's type padding right and let's set it to 40 pixels. And let's set the width of the input field to 100%. And now we can see that we have this padding of 40 pixels on the right side. So the search box is being displayed correctly. Now we need to add the search box inside the mobile version as well. So in the mobile version, we don't have the aside. So we need to add the search box inside this menu. So let's add it after this contact menu. So I'll just copy this form. And let's go to the mobile menu. So this is the mobile menu container. And let's go inside this menu items division. And that we have all these anchor tags. So let's go outside this contact anchor tag and let's add the search box over here. And here we have the search box. Now we have some padding on the left and the right sides. So what we can do is we can target the search box inside the mobile menu container. So let's go ahead and type mobile menu container, search box. And let's add a margin inline of negative 16 pixels. So this will set the left and the right margin values to negative. So now we can see that we have this width for this search box. Let's also remove this margin bottom. So let's go to this input tag and let's type margin bottom of 0. So this is how the search box looks. Right now let's go ahead and add animations to all these elements. So we'll add some subtle animation for all these elements. So for that we're going to use a library called AOS, animate on scroll. So you can just Google for animate on scroll and you will find this link of this AOS library. So let's click on it. So this is the AOS library and here we can see we have the demo of all these different animations that they have. Now let's scroll down and let's go to the link that they have. So let's copy the link of this CSS and let's paste it inside our head section. And let's copy the link of this JavaScript. Let's paste it over here. And then let's go ahead and get this script for initializing the library. So let's copy this and I'll just paste it over here just before the body ends. Right now we can simply go ahead and add these data attributes. So if you just type data AOS fade up, then it will add this animation. So we have all these different animations for the elements. So let's go ahead and add some animations to our website. First of all, let's go to the sidebar and let's tap data AOS and let's add the animation called fade right. And now if we reload this page, we can see that we have this animation where the sidebar comes in from the right. Let's add the animation for the other elements as well. Right now, let's add the animation for the H1. So here we have the H1. So for the H1, we will add an animation called fade left. So we can just type data AOS fade left. And here we have this animation. Now if you want to add a little bit of delay for this animation, then we can just add an attribute called data AOS delay. And here we can add the milliseconds. So I'll just type 200. So now we can see that we have a delay for this animation. Now let's add the animation for this menu icon as well. So for the menu icon, we have this division with the class of menu icon. So I'll just copy this attributes from here and let's paste it over here. And I'll just change the delay to 250 milliseconds. And let's change this to fade in. So this is how these animations look. Right now, let's go back to the desktop version. And let's add the animation for this hero section. So let's copy this from here. And let's paste it down here. Right now, let's add animations for all these H2s. So here we have this H2. And let's copy this data attribute. And let's paste it over here. And now we can see we have this fade in animation for the about H2. And then we have this one right here. So I'll just copy this. And let's add it for this H2. And let's add it for all the images as well. And then we have this H2. And for the testimonial slider, let's add fade left. So now if you scroll down, here we can see we have this fade left animation for this testimonial slider. And then lastly, we have the contact heading. So let's paste it over here. So with that, we have added animations for all these elements in our website. Let's also add the animation for these groups. So here we have these groups for the input fields and labels. So let's add fade in animation for all of them. And also for this button. So everything is working all right. All right, so that's basically how you can add animations to your website using the AOS library. Now for deploying this website online, we're going to use a service called Netlify. So just go to netlify.com and create a free account. You can also log in with your GitHub account. And once you log in, go to Sites and you'll find this screen right here. Now you can import your existing projects over here by clicking on Import from GitHub. But what we're going to do is we're going to just drag and drop our folder over here. All right, so here's the code of the website. And I have added all these files inside a folder called HTML. Now you have to drag and drop the parent folder inside here into Netlify. So let's drag and drop this HTML folder over here. And now we can see that it is being uploaded. And with that, our website has been deployed. So this is how fast you can deploy your website using Netlify. Now if you just go over here to Open Production Deploy, you can find the website over here. So everything is working as expected. The animation is also working all right. We have the slider working correctly. And we also have the Lightbox working correctly. Now let's go ahead and make this contact form work. Now it is really simple to make this contact form work in Netlify. So you can just go over here to Forms and you can just add a name to the form in your HTML and then just add this Netlify attribute over here and it will store these details inside Netlify. So you can just go ahead and click on Enable Form Detection. And now we can see that form detection is enabled. So let's go ahead and make these changes in our HTML. Alright, so here I have opened up my project and let's go to the form. So here's the form. We have the contact section and in that we have this form. So let's remove this action and here we need to add a name and this Netlify attribute. So I'll just copy these and let's add it over here. You can change this name to anything you want and then make sure that you have this name attribute for all the input fields. So here For the name, we'll just type name equals name, and for the email, let's type name equals email, and for the message, let's type, and we already have the name over here. And then here we have this button, and we have the button with the type of submit, so everything looks alright. So now let's go ahead and save this, and let's update our code. So to update the code in Netlify, you can just go ahead and go back to deploys, and here you can drag and drop your updated folder. So let's open the folder. So here's our folder, so I'll just go ahead and drag and drop it over here, and now we can see that our website is being updated. And with that, our website has been updated. So let's click on open production deploy, and this is our website. So let's go ahead and test our form. So I'll just add some data over here. And let's add a message. And let's click on send. And now we can see we have this thank you screen by Netlify. So it says your form submission has been received. So let's click on back to our site. And let's go back over here and let's go to forms. And now we can see that we have one form collecting data and we have one submission over here. So let's click on this. And here we have the submission. And if I click on it, we have the details. So we have the name, email, and the message. So that's how you can make this contact form work in your Netlify website. Now the last thing we will do is we will change the domain name of our website. So let's go over here to domain management. Now if you have already purchased a domain name, you can just go ahead and add that over here. For now, I'll just go ahead and click on options, and I'll just change this domain name that we have over here right now. So let's click on edit site name, and let's change this to something meaningful. So let's tap pixel photography, and let's see whether it is available. Let's click on save, and we can see that the site name is already taken. So I'll just add something over here. I'll just tap official, and now we can see that it has changed. And now if we click on this link, here we have our website on this new domain, pixelphotographyofficial.netlify.app. So this is a free domain that we get with Netlify. So that's basically how you can deploy your website online using Netlify. Now here in my Blogger website, I'm using this theme called Contempo Lite, which comes by default with Blogger. Now what we're going to do is we're going to create a page, and we're going to redirect this URL to the custom homepage that we create. So let's go over here to pages, and let's create a new page, and let's just call it home. And here for now I'll just type hello, and let's publish this and confirm. And here we can see that the home page has been published. So if I click on view, we have the home page displayed over here. Now let's go ahead and redirect this home URL to this page right here. So let's go over here to the settings, and we need to scroll down, and here you have to go under errors and redirects, and you have to go to custom redirects, and here you have to add a new redirect. So here we need to go from the home page to this page right here. So I'll just copy this and I'll just paste it over here, and let's click on OK. And now we can see it goes from the home page to this page. So let's click on save, and let's see whether it works. So let's go to the home page of our website, and let's press enter. And now we can see that when we go to the home page, we are redirected to this custom home page that we just created. Now the next thing we need to do is we need to customize this page, and we need to make it look like this page right here. So for that, let's go to our page. So let's go here to pages, and let's click on home. Now the first thing you need to do is you need to remove all these elements that you see over here. So for example, we have this header. So we can right click over here and go to inspect, and you can just check what is the element called. So here we can see it is called header, and if you click on that, here we can see for the header it is set to display block. So what we need to do is we need to set the display to none, and now we can see that the header is hidden. So in this way you need to go ahead and here you need to create a style tag, and here you need to add all those styles. So here for example, if I just type header and display none, and this should be header, we should not have a dot over here because this is basically the tag, it is not a class. So now let's update this, and let's go back to our page and let's reload this page. And now we can see that the header is hidden. So in this way, you need to hide all the elements that you see over here. So you can just right click and go to inspect and just go ahead and take a look at the division. So for this popular post, we have this div and it has this class of popular post. So you have to just target this and set a display of none. Now I have already explained all of this in other videos where you can hide all these elements using CSS. So I'll just go ahead and copy and paste my code over here. And I will also leave the link of the source code in the description, so you can just copy and paste for your website as well. Alright, so here I have copied and pasted all the CSS that we need for hiding all the elements in our page. So let's go ahead and update this. And let's go back to our page and let's reload this page. And now we can see that our page is completely blank. Now we can go ahead and add the code of this design over here. So let's go ahead and do that. First of all, let's create a comment and I'll just type end of theme custom CSS. And after that, we'll just add the CSS of our design. So let's go to our source code. And the first thing we will do is we'll just copy these two links. Now these are for the animation library. So let's copy this and let's paste it after the style tag. And let's go to our CSS file and let's copy all of this from here. First of all, let's copy this import and I'll just paste it at the top. And now let's go ahead and copy the other CSS. So let's start from here till the end and let's paste it over here after our custom theme CSS. Right, now let's go ahead and copy and paste the HTML. So let's go back to our source code and let's go to the HTML file. Let's copy from this line of code till the end. So let's copy it till here and let's paste it over here. And we need to just remove this script src main.js from here. And we need to add the code from this main.js file over here. So I'll just delete this source from here. And let's go ahead and copy the JavaScript from this main.js file. Let's copy all of this and let's paste it inside the script tag. And here we have this extra script tag. So I'll just delete this from here and let's paste it inside the script tag. And we can just remove these script tags from here. And now we have copied all the HTML, CSS and JavaScript to our page. Now we need to copy and paste the images over here. So right now the images links are set to images / the image name. But in our Blogger website, we don't have this images folder. So we need to upload these images and videos somewhere and get the links and paste it over here. So for now, I'll just update this. And let's go back to our page and let's reload this page. And we can see all the elements are being displayed over here. We need to just add the links of the images over here. Now for uploading the images, I'm going to use a service called Cloudinary. So you can just go over here to cloudinary.com and create a free account and log into the account and go to media library. And then you can just go over here to folders. And here we can see all the folders that I already have. So let's create a new folder and let's call it photography website. And here we have the folder being created. So let's go to the folder. And here we will just add two folders, one for videos. And let's create one more folder and let's call it images. And now we need to add the images and the videos inside these folders. So let's open this folder. And let's drag and drop the images over here. Alright, so here are all the images. So let's select all of these and let's drag and drop them over here. And now we can see that the images are being uploaded. And with that, all the images have been uploaded. So let's go back over here to the photography website folder and let's go to videos and let's upload the video over here. So here we have the video. So I'll just drag and drop it over here. And here we can see our video has been uploaded as well. So let's copy the link of this video. You can just click on this button right here. Let's go back over here and let's go to this place where we have the video. The video is, I think, inside the header. So here we have the video. So I'll just delete this link and paste the new link over here. And now if you update this, and if you go back to our website and reload this page, now we can see that the video is being played over here. So in this way, let's go ahead and add all the other images over here. So first of all, we need to add the image for the logo. So the logo is, I think, right here. So we have the main container, and in that we have the logo. So let's go back to Cloudinary. Let's go to the images folder, and let's search for the logo. Alright, so here we have the logo. So let's click on copy link, and let's paste the logo over here, and let's update this. Let's go back and reload. And now here we can see we have the logo. So in this way, I'll just go ahead and add all the images inside our code. So I'll just quickly go ahead and see you after adding all the images. Alright, so I have copied all the links from Cloudinary and pasted it in our website. So here we can see we have the links of all these images. So now if you go to our website, this is how this looks. So we can see we have this logo, we have these social media icons, we have all these images displayed over here, and we also have the images for these testimonials. Right now, the next thing we will do is we will fix some problems that we have in the design. So if I click on any of these menu items, we can see that the color changes. So that's because if you right click over here and if you go to inspect, here we can see that the theme has already set the color of the visited links. So let's copy this selector from here. And right now the color is set to this blue color. So let's go back. And here let's add some more styles. So let's paste the selector. And even if the link is visited, I'll just change the color back to black. And let's update this. And let's go back to our page and let's reload this page. And now we can see we have the correct color. Right now, the next thing we need to do is we need to set the background color for the body. So here we can see that we have this dark background color. But in our Blogger website, we don't have the dark background color. So if we right click over here and go to inspect, and if you go to the body, here we already have this background color set to this dark color. But if you go inside the body and if you take a look at this post body division, here we can see that the color of the text is set to black. So we need to set it to white, because here we can see for the website we have this white text color. And then here inside the post body we can add the background color. So for example, if I just have background red, now we can see that we have this red background color over here. So let's go ahead and set the background color to the post body. So let's tap dot post body, and let's copy the color of the text and the background color from here, and let's paste it inside here. And now let's update this, and let's go back to our page and let's reload this page. And now we can see we have the correct background color and text color for our website. Now here we can see that we don't have the correct color for the text of the button. So let's right click and go to inspect. And here we have the button, and for the button, the color is set to inherit. So it is inheriting from other elements. So let's go ahead and set a specific color to this button. So let's go to the styles of the button. So here we have the form button, and here let's set the color of the text to black, and let's update this. Let's go back to our page and let's reload. And now we can see we have the correct color. And let's also go ahead and fix this header that we have over here, because right now we can see that the header is not being displayed. So here we have this header called pixel photography, and it is not being displayed over here. So let's right click and go to inspect, and let's see what's the problem. So let's go to the header. Now here we can see for the header the display is set to none. So if you go back to our page, here we can see that we have set the display of none to the header. Now this header is the header that comes by default with the theme. So we need to hide the header that comes with the theme, but we need to display this header that we have in our custom design. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a class to the header of our design. So here, let's go to our HTML and let's go to the header. So here we have the header of our design. And for this header, let's add a class called custom header. And let's go ahead and change the selectors over here in the CSS. So if we go to the header selector, here we have the header. So let's change this to header.custom header. And let's also set the display to block. And we have the header being selected in the JavaScript as well. So let's scroll down. And here for the JavaScript, let's change this to header.custom header. So it will select the correct header for us. Right now, let's go ahead and update this. And let's go back to our page and let's reload this page. And now we can see that the header is being displayed and everything is working all right. So with that, we have added our custom design to our Blogger website. Let's also take a look at the mobile version. And this is how it looks on mobile version. And this should go to the left side. So let's fix that. And let's go to the media query. So here, instead of header, we need to change this to header.custom header. Right now, let's update this. Let's go back and let's reload this page. And let's go to the mobile version. And now we can see everything looks all right. So with that, we have added our custom design to our Blogger website. Now in this video, I'll show you how to make this contact form work. So right now, if you click on the send button, nothing happens because we haven't added any functionality to this. Now what we're going to do is we're going to connect the contact form of Blogger platform to this contact form right here, so that when someone enters their details over here and clicks on the send button, the message will be sent to the email ID associated with this Blogger account. So we will do that in this video. Let's get started. Alright, so here I'm in my Blogger dashboard. So the first thing we need to do is we need to add the default contact form that comes with Blogger. So for that, you have to go over here to layout and you have to click on add a gadget, and you have to add the contact form gadget from here. So here we have the gadget. So let's click on it and let's click on save. And here we have the contact form gadget added. Now if you go back to our website and if I open any of these posts, so let's open this post right here. And now if we zoom out, here we can see that we have the contact form displayed. Now this is a contact form that works completely because this is built in by the Blogger platform. So what we're going to do is we're going to get the HTML from this form and we're going to add this to our custom design. So let's right click over here and go to inspect. And here let's go to the form. So here we have the form. So let's go ahead and copy all this HTML from the form. So for that, you can just right click over here and click on edit as HTML. And then you can go ahead and select all by pressing Command A and copy it. And let's go ahead and paste it in our page. So let's go over here to pages and we have this page called home. And I'll just paste the contact form just below the current contact form. So it is right here. So here I just create some space and let's paste the code over here. So this is the form. So now if you go ahead and update this, and if you go to our home page and if I reload this page, here if you scroll down, here we have the contact form by Blogger. Now what we need to do is we need to get these input fields and we need to add them to our design right here. So for that, let's go back to our page and let's copy this input field from here. So let's copy this, and this is for the name. So let's go over here to the name and let's delete this input field from our custom design, and let's paste the input field of the Blogger contact form over here. And we can simply remove this class, and we need to keep the ID and the name and all these things over here. Now let's go ahead and copy the email. So let's copy this input field from here and let's delete this input field and let's paste it over here, and we'll remove this class. Right now let's go ahead and add the text area for the message. So let's copy this text area from here and let's delete this text area and let's paste it over here, and let's remove this class. Right now let's get this submit button. So here we have this input with the type of button. So let's copy this and let's delete this from here and let's paste the input field with the type of button. Now below this, let's also add the messages. So here we can see we have two paragraphs over here, one for the error message and one for the success message. So let's copy these two paragraphs from here, and here I'll just create a simple div with a class of message container, and I'll just paste the paragraph over here. So the error message and the success message will also be displayed in our contact form. Right now, let's go ahead and click on update. And let's go back to our page and let's reload this page. And here we have this contact form, and we already have this error message displayed over here. So let's go back and let's remove this error message from here. It will be automatically generated by Blogger. We'll also remove this image. Right now, let's click on update. And let's go back to our home page and let's reload this page. And here we have our contact form, and let's click on the send button. And now we have this error message displayed. So the contact form is working. Now let's fix some problems that we have over here. So right now, if you type something over here, it is not being displayed over here because the color of the text is white. So let's go back to our page and let's go to the CSS of the form. So here we have the form input and text area. So I'll just set the color of the text to black, and let's click on update. And let's go back. Let's reload this page. And now we can see that we have the correct color displayed over here. Now we don't have the correct styling for this button. So if you go back to our CSS, here we can see that we have set the styling for form button. But if you scroll down and if you go to the contact form, here we can see that this is not a button. This is an input with a type of button. So let's scroll up. And here for the button, we need to change this to form input with a type of button. And let's click on update. And let's go back to our home page and let's reload. And now we can see we have the correct styling for this button. Now we can go ahead and delete this form from here. So let's scroll down. And here we have this contact form. So let's delete that. We also need to hide the contact form from the sidebar. So let's right click over here and go to inspect. And we have this class of sidebar top wrapper. So in that we have the contact form. So let's copy this selector. And we need to set the display to none. So we need to add the display to none to the theme code, because this is not the home page. Now we need to hide this from all the pages. So let's go to the theme code. So let's go back and let's go to theme, customize, edit HTML. And let's go to the CSS and let's go to the end. And this is where the CSS ends. So I'll just paste the selector over here. And I will just type display none. And let's click on save. And let's go to our website and let's reload. And now we can see that the contact form is not being displayed over here. So everything is working all right. Right now, let's go ahead and check whether this contact form actually works. So let's reload this page. And let's add some details over here. So I'll just type john@gmail.com. Let's type test message and let's click on send. And here we can see your message has been sent, and this message will be sent to the email ID associated with this Blogger account. So with that, we have made this contact form functional. Now this is our custom homepage, and if you scroll down and if we take a look at our sidebar, we have the search form somewhere over here. So here we have the search form inside the main container after the logo. Now what we need to do is we need to replace this form of the search box with the form of a Blogger search box. So if you go to any of these pages, and here we have the Blogger search button, and if you right click over here and go to inspect, here we have the form, and we need to get the HTML of this. So let's right click over here and click on edit as HTML, and let's copy this form from here and let's paste it just below this form. And here for the placeholder, we need to change this to search here. And let's go ahead and update this. Let's go back to our home page and let's reload this page. And here we have our previous form, and below that we have the form of the Blogger website. So if I just type something over here, we can see that the form is there, but we don't have the correct styling for that. So let's go back and let's see how this form is structured. So here we can see we have the div with the class of search box, and in that we have the input field. And here we have this div with the class of search input. So let's change this to search box. Now here what we will do is we'll just remove these classes from here. These are the classes added by the Blogger theme. Now here, instead of this input field, I'll just change this into a button with a type of submit. And in this button, we will add our icon. So let's close the button over here. And let's scroll up and let's get the icon from here. So here we have this icon, and the icon is inside the search icon division. So I'll just add this button inside the search icon division. So let's type div, the class of search icon. And let's close the div over here. And I think this div should be closed after the button. And this button should be inside the div. Let's cut this ending div from here. This is for this search box class. And we need to add all of this inside the div. So we have the search input field and the button. And in this button, let's add the SVG. So let's go ahead and copy the SVG from here. And I'll just paste it inside the button. And let's click on update. Let's go back to our home page and let's reload this page. And here we have this button displayed, and it is not being displayed correctly, but let's test whether it is working. So let's just search for how, and let's see whether we get some results. So let's click on this button. And here we can see we have the result for how displayed over here. So the search functionality is working all right. Now let's fix this appearance. Now in the button we have the SVG. So let's set some width for the SVG. So let's go ahead and go to the CSS. And here we have search box, search icon. And in that we have the SVG. So let's type SVG over here. And we have set the width to 20 pixels. And let's click on update. And let's go back to the home page and reload. And this is how it looks. And let's go ahead and add this border. So if we go back, here we can see that for the input with the type of text, we are adding this border. But if you scroll down and if you go to the search box, here we can see that the type is not set to text. So let's set the type to text. And let's click on update. Let's go back and let's reload. And now we can see we have the border. And here we have this button displayed over here below the search input field. So let's fix that. And if you take a look at this, we have the search icon and we have the search box. Now this search icon should be displayed on the right side of the input field. So let's see what's the problem. Let's go to the CSS. And the problem is that we have changed this selector. So we need to set the width for the SVG, and all these other styles should be added to this selector, search box, search icon. So let's delete SVG from here and let's type search box, search icon, SVG, and here we will set the width to 20 pixels. And let's click on update. Let's go back to the home page and let's reload this page. And now we have the button displayed on the right side. Now we need to remove the border and the background of this button. We just need to keep this icon. So here, let's target the button. So just tap search box button and let's tap background transparent and let's set the border to none. And let's click on update. Let's go back to our home page and reload. And this is how the search box looks. Now we need to bring this icon a little to the left side. So let's right click and go to inspect. And let's select the search icon and let's change the right value. So let's type right, and I think 18 pixels looks alright. So let's go back, and for the search icon we need to change this to 18. And now we can go ahead and delete the other search box that we have. So we have the search box right here. So I'll just delete this form. This was our previous search box. And let's click on update. Let's go back to the home page, and this is how this search box looks, and it is working all right. Now when we go to the mobile version, here also we need to have the search box displayed. So right now this doesn't work, so we need to add the search box over here as well. So let's copy this form from here. So this is the search box, and let's copy this and paste it in here. So this is the search box for the mobile version, so it is after this contact. So let's add our form over here, and let's click on update. Let's go back to the home page and reload. Let's go to the mobile version, and here we have the search box. Let's type something over here, and let's click on this search icon. And here we have the search results displayed. So everything is working all right. So that's how you can make the search box work in your Blogger website. So we have created this custom search box for our website. Alright, so that's basically it for this video. If you have any doubts, you can ask in the comments below. And if you like this video, please click on the like button and subscribe to this channel to get the latest video updates. Thanks a lot for watching. Have a nice day.